This is an HR program on demand, a living seed capsule of work life and workplace coming live from a rooftop in Stockholm, Sweden. It's me, Ann-Marie Andrich, and
me, Katarina Berg.
A vodcast, if you like, on HR, straight across the counter. Sponsored by HR The Real Deal, HR by HR for HR. Hey Katarina.
Hey Ann-Marie.
What's on your mind today?
A couple of things. I guess it's storytelling. I think that is something that is picking up more and more. I think, the back and forth, different companies reopen. So is it RTO, return to office, or as we talk about it at Spotify, ROTO, reopen the office, since we have work from anywhere, so it's not going to be return to office. So I think the opening of the office is another one. And then the third thing is mandate vaccine or not. And if you're a Swedish company, or if you're in Europe or some part of the world where it's actually not allowed to mandate according to law or to labor law, I guess it's maybe not a big question, but I picking up it is. If you are in US, I think the question is even bigger because you are allowed to mandate. So should you, shouldn't you? So I think those are top of mind, top of my HR mind.
Very good, top of mind. So on that last topic, how do you go about that? Because obviously you are a global company, so you have offices all around the world. So if one country is to mandate and the other one is not, what is your thinking there?
I think it goes back to not necessarily the question per se. I think it goes back to how we view things. Being a truly global company, we usually want to do the same thing wherever we are and don't make difference by location by location, because then all of a sudden you do differ between people and people, which is not necessarily a good thing, right? And then of course there could be differences, but here, which is very, 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 very boring. I always say this, it goes back to what type of culture you have and what philosophy you have. If you're a trust-built company, you have to trust your people. If you also think and believe that you have recruited grown-ups, you need to believe and also understand that you can trust them again. And if you say that you strongly recommend that people are vaccinated, and hopefully most people have both jabs, right? Because now it's not a question of if there is vaccine or not, or that you are in line or you're waiting for it. And that is important. And how do we then also in the offices have a distant, clean, wash your hands, and all that we kind of know now since 18, 20, soon to maybe more months. So if you can mandate it in US, but not in the rest of the world, for us it doesn't make sense. But then again, we also want everybody to be comfortable. But what plays into our decision is also work from anywhere. Right. So nobody is forced into the office. You could choose to have a home mix, right? And we send people home before most companies did. So obviously, if you feel uncomfortable with not mandating people in when you go in, you don't have to come in. Mm. I think the problem is because you can turn this any which way, right? Is I want to come in, but you haven't mandated. What do I do then? Right. But we have come to the conclusion right now that can change, right? You get new data points, but right now we will not mandate.
Right. So on the topic of reopening the offices, mm-hmm. where are you there?
So when we went into the crisis, we sent everybody home, and then we did like most people did, I think our companies did in February, March. I have to think back. We said go home for a month so we know and learn more. And then after that month, we took a long instead of having people being like, are you asking me to come back, or can I go home, or can I go to my parents, or depending on where you were in the world. Then we set a date that was far in the distance, and then we prolonged that in far to the distance. And the last now date was 1st of September. And what we said going into the summer is that we're not going to prolong that with one date for all of the world, mm-hmm. because there are parts of the world where we can open the office in a very moderate way, in a staggered way, in a safe way. So there are 3 data points that we look into when we open. First of all, no matter what the authority is and called and who's populated that authority, we listen to what the local authority is saying. If they say it's safe, if they open the office, if they say companies can come back to an office, that is one of the green lights that we are looking for. The second one is, what does the percentage of vaccination look like, right? And then, okay, the last green light that we're looking for is how many people are actually getting the virus. When all three are green, this is not when we go 100% open. This is where we go staggered, very slow opening, still very distant, with all the information and the blockers in the and you use your app and you come in and you use. So there are a couple of offices that we had open, and there are a couple of offices that we had to close. So now it's location by location, but it's central kind of committee. It's the crisis management that takes that sits on all this data, with a couple of different support functions helping out. Where we have done gone away from that policy or direction that we set out very early is for the people that are struggling, right? The people that are not doing well in their homes. If the office is really big, for instance, a Stockholm office that is built for more than 2,000 people, one of the three that we do have in Stockholm, it's now open for 5% for the people that are struggling. And I have to say, have been very respectful, because a lot of people want to come into the office, but they might not feel that the walls are coming in, or they have other difficulties. So it's now open for 5%, which is, again, 12 floors, 2,000 people plus, means that 97 people, if everybody are taking all the spots of 5%, that 97 people can come in. But we haven't opened yet, because the authorities have told us, if you don't have to, if you can work from home, please do so.
Exactly. Beautiful. Very clear guidelines for you, obviously. And then the third thing that you mentioned was, or actually the first thing that you mentioned of the three, was storytelling. So why storytelling?
I hear and I see more and more that people try to both manage but also think more in storytelling, which I think is it's okay. Finally, we all like a good story, and you can listen to PowerPoints. You can have short checklists. You can read the companies, whatever corporate. I almost said bullshit, but I meant booklets, of course. So you all that, right? Yeah. But it doesn't rally the masses, and people don't tend to remember that. And I see more and more people saying that it's very important to be able to tell a story. So I foresee that we're going to see people go on trainings that has to do with storytelling. I think we will see that more from the digital or the virtual, but also maybe the live stages. I think you will see more and more people using that, as a way of portraying where you're going, what the direction, where you came from. So I think storytelling is going to be something that everybody refers to. I'm not really sure if everybody's going to be very good at it, though.
You can always train.
For sure.
But this is so interesting. Do you think that this is has this become a topic due to or thanks to the pandemic, given the fact that we've been behind screens?
You know what?
Could it be driven by that?
It could be driven by anything, but I think everything that is new is very old, right? And where before we had tablets, before we had computers, before we had newspapers, before even we can print books, what did we do? We sat around the campfire and we listened to people that had experience, but we listened even more to the people that had something to say and said it in a very compelling way. Yeah. So I think this is a very old trait that we forgot. And I think it has to do with the paradigm shift. And I think one of the reminders in the world, always, work life or private life, is this. Everything that is really cool and hot and trendy is something that is very, very old, but it worked. And I think that is why we have cliches. I think that's why we have quotes. They are cheesy, but they're there for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Because it works, and everybody gets like, aha, yes, or or a smirk, or a giggle even, because we kind of recognize ourselves as that. So anybody that can capture, anybody's mind for a while and tells a really good story, then I think we all enjoy watching a movie. We all, everything that is a video or a good sound, we enjoy. But it also takes away some of the imaginary kind of traits that you have, and I think that is good for you, for your creativity, for your innovation. So I think storytelling really talks and speaks to all of those things that we as human beings really like. And I think back to, okay, so what forced that, or what resurfaced that, if we put it like that. Could be all this, being on screen or being in lockdown, but I don't think so. I think it's like, like fashion, and not because I'm really good at fashion. We all know that I get dressed in the dark, but the thing is, I think it has to do with everything kind of comes back. Everything comes in circles. And we forgot a couple of things during the industrial society, right? And then the second revelation with more, or even agriculture. I think even then we forgot a bit about the storytelling. For sure now, in the way where everything is served and you don't have to think, you just push, an app and you watch something. So I think we going back to the roots, which is always a good thing.
Which is always a good thing. And a good story is always a good story. Fun and also very powerful. Yeah. Good. So going back to the 3 things then.
Going back
always
to that
works.
Always also works. Even if we don't remember them sometimes, right?
Right.
So
Let's do it.
Please stay safe, stay active and stay strong.
Idem medalje. Yeah. What's on your freaking HR mind? Gud vad det här är.
Ja.
Okej.
Jag stökig.
Nu är det bra. Det är viktigt att sova barn. Det går inte.
Hon ser inte de här ändå. Värmer mina händer. Det är de som är kalla, eller hur?
Händerna?
Och
Har
det
jag
blir inte
blå
bättre.
läppar?
Nej.
Nej.
Yay!
Och där kom solen!
Det börjar bli varmt.